Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you for joining me in the very first of the 2017 Pootles Advent Countdown. 24 projects that are going to be coming out to you between now, today's the first one, and right through and into December. Now, for the first few weeks there's going to be one a week, and then after that it will be two a week in the main run up to Christmas. So it's Pootles Advent Countdown. Advent to me is 24 days in the run up, so I'm doing 24 projects. This is the first one. I've got to start with an advent calendar really, haven't I? So I'm not going to show you how to make a complete one because, you know, you don't want to see all of that. But I'm going to show you how to put together the essence of it. And this is an advent calendar or an advent countdown. Now, I have 4 small boys and 4 advent calendars in my house that have got chocolates and sweets and treats and stuff like that. It's just too much. So we like to do an activity. And on this one, although I haven't done it yet, on the back of each of these, you can write down the activity you want to do. I've got that caught on there. You write down the activity, so you flip over the day, or you could reverse it and start with 24 at the front and turn one over, and that's the countdown, so how many days there are left until Christmas. It's entirely up to you. Now, I have got enormous binder rings here. The reason for that is because when you start bulking up paper, it becomes problematic, so you need big ones. And I have got it on an A-frame that goes bigger and smaller, and that is so that your calendar can flip over easily, and you need to close it to get the height and the gap for it to slip over easily, because otherwise, and it keeps getting caught on there, I need to twist that, if it's too high, they wobble backwards and forwards, and that's really, nobody likes that. If they're too low, this doesn't slip backwards and forwards. And there we go, it's stopped catching there now. That's the binder clip where it opens and closes. But you do need to close it in order to be able to do that. If it stayed open permanently, you're not going to get, it's just not going to flip over. It's going to get caught. Well, it might do. Oh, actually no, it's because it closed again. So I love it. And this is, it's a nice keepsake that you could make if you wanted to do it as a countdown. Like I say, you'd have 24 up first, and then you've got 23 days till Christmas and 22 and so on. But if you're going to make it as an advent calendar, you make it like this. And you put your activity on the back. So the children go, oh, what are we doing today on the first day? And you go, oh, well, we're going to do a moonlight Christmas bath, or we're going to go and sing Christmas carols, or we're going to decorate the tree, whatever it is. Activity is written on the back. Write it on a piece of paper in pencil, and you can just rub it out and start again the following year. But what are my sizes? So I started with this bit first because I wanted to use cardstock that was easy for me to cut and make, because I've got 24 of them to make. So I started with a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, and I knew that if I could fit everything onto a piece of 12 by 12 for the backing, then I knew that I would fit the same with the paper, the designer series paper that's going on it. And I've got 2 different sets. I'm going to show you them in a minute. So 4 by 3 inches, which is 7.5 by 10 centimetres. So basically you just start cutting wherever you want. So I'm going to cut at my 4s. 4, 4. So that's my width, my height rather, and then at my 3s. So that's 6. Stack it up. If you watched my trimmer tip video the other day, you know you can get a couple of cuts. And that's 4 done. And that would give me 8. So there's 4 there. There's another. Oh no, there's not. There's more than that. My brain can't cope. It just hurts, doesn't it? How many do we get? I can't remember. My brain won't add this up. 12 out of a sheet. 4, 8, 12. Which means that you only need 2 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock for all of these. So that's 1 pack. So that's 1 sheet. That's 12 of them. You obviously need 24, which means you only need 2 sheets of designer series paper, because obviously your DSP is less, because your DSP measures, I'll close my notebook, 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 of an inch, which is 7 by 9.5 centimetres. Now, if you wanted to make one with only 2 sheets of DSP, it's going to get a little bit boring. You're only going to have 4 patterns. I wanted to have lots of different patterns, so I got 2 packs. I got the Merry Music, and I got the other one whose name's just exited my brain. I can't remember what it's called. What's it called? I'm looking in my catalogue. Merry Little Christmas. This one and this one. I was going for the black and the green. So this one here is Merry Little Christmas. And you've got, oh no, that's Merry Little Christmas as well. Move that out of the way. You've got 12 patterns. You've got a different pattern on each side. So 12 of these, 12 of those, 24 patterns, a different one. And it's gorgeous. This is Old Olive with the black and the white. How pretty is that? I've seen that pattern before and I can't think where. Love it. So, oh look, it's replicated there as well. How cool is that? Are we into the same ones again? We are now. So I just went for a little bit off each. Love that. Merry Little Christmas. Let's scooch that out of the way. Oh, and knock everything over. And then Merry Music. Now, Merry Music, you get 24 sheets of this because it's actually thinner. But I love it. And you get black on white, and then you also get white on black. Absolutely fantastic. And I just use little snippety bits. Here we go. Here's some leftovers. Just little bits. Love it. Look, there's the black, the white on the black. And all this music. And that's, which song's this one? Oh, Come All Ye Faithful, that one. What's this first one? Jingle Bells. And what else have we got? Deck the Halls. Love that one. What's this one? This one is... oh, I don't know this one. I'm not going to try and sing it. Can't read music. I don't know that one either. But lovely. Absolutely lovely. Silent Night. Gotta love it. But yeah, real music. And then you've got script and wording, and you've got musical notes, you've got patterns, and I just love it. And so basically what you're making is a card blank kind of idea. So you've got your piece of cardstock. Let me just move that black background out of the way completely. So you've got your black cardstock as the main part, and then your white layer. When you're doing your stamping, now we have one numerical stamp set that I was happy to work with, and that was the number of years, because I decided that this couldn't hold embellishment because it would just make it too bulky. If I started embellishing all of these, we'd be out here like this, which would be crackers. So I wanted to make it all about the numbers. So I went with number of years, which obviously has all of the numbers. And to set the measurement, I was kind of, it sort of was dictated to me by the width of the DSP, but also by the fact that you've got some numbers that are going to take up quite a bit of space. 23, I believe it is the widest. 2 and 3 together. And you ain't got a lot of room left over. So I just kind of stamped and I went with what I could fit. So if I find 23 for you, it fits and there's room around the edge, so it's not sort of very close to the edge there and there. But that is the widest one. 24 is a little bit narrower, but 23 is the widest. So that, do take that into consideration. If you're not using the number of years stamp set like I have, do consider that as to whether you can fit the 2 widest numbers onto the bit of card that you've cut. I ended up with mine measuring 2 1/4 inches, 5.5 centimetres, and it was perfect. And I went and made it a square. And that meant that this black border around it, because when I put the white down I went, oh no, that's lost, it needs a black border. 2.5 inches, which means I've got still a nice little border around the edge of it for the designer series paper. And I did, when I laid these out, I put one in the middle, one towards the bottom, and one towards the top. And that again was to almost alleviate bulk. If I'd had them all in the middle, they'd have all sat out like this. It would have just, let me see if I can do that. It would have been sitting at that sort of volume, but by moving them up and down, it meant that they were closer. And again, you don't want it sticking out like that. It's just not pretty. Let me put my 2 and my 3 back together. And I made all of my layers first. So I cut all of my cardstock, then I cut all of my paper, then I cut all of the white pieces for stamping on, stamped all of those. And I actually, normally, when I've done advent calendars in the past, I've done all of the numbers individually and I've punched them and layered them. So I had a 2 over a 3 reading a 23. But actually this time around, I found it easier just to go number 1, number 2, number 3, and then just actually work numerically. If you want to do them separately, you need 13 number 1s, I think you need 8 number 2s, 3 number 3s, 3 number 4s, and then 2 each of everything else. Finally, the A-frame, because this is where the fun and games come in, and you can see I got my holes wrong. So I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock and I'm going to grab binder rings. Now, as I said, you have to consider the depth that you're coming up. So I measured my stack, and I had this stack sat, and then I ordered my binder rings afterwards, and I measured it, and it was 1 inch. So I knew that I needed a binder ring that was more than 1 inch, because obviously I wanted it to wrap around. I couldn't find any that were 2 inches. I knew 1.5 was going to be no good, because I did have some of that size. Couldn't find any that were 2 inches, but these are actually 2.2 inches, which in metric is going to be about 5.5 centimetres. Let's have a, why don't we just measure it? 5.5 centimetres. And they are the ones that are hinged, and they clasp together like that, and they just go around. So you don't want key rings, you want these. The way to measure is to actually take your binder ring and go like that. Rest your hinge at the top and open it up, and then you want a little bit of movement, and I will demonstrate for you. So if I'm going to try and do this. I need my chalk marker because I'm working on black. I'm going to try and do this one-handed while filming and not using my belly. So that mark there that I've just made is with the hinge at the top right next to there. I'm going to move one a little bit further away, and I'm going to have one right at the top, and I'm going to show you the difference. So I'm going to grab my hole punch. This is where I find I now can't fit it across. One there, one there, and that's not, it's not going to fit, is it? So you do need to practice first, and I'll tell you the measurements of mine in a minute. But when that's it, with the hinge in exactly the right place, can't close the blooming thing. So that's no good. So you cannot go with a radius. There, that's the radius, and a little bit of extra wiggle room is what I have done, and you've got room for your calendar number to slip round. Absolutely brilliant. When you go higher, which is giving you bags of room, what you end up doing is when your advent numbers are sitting in front, these flop around all over the place. You should see the number of scraps that I have got in the bin where I was fiddling around with it. This one is okay. If it was higher still, this would be flapping around all over the place. So do consider that when you are making yours. So don't go straight in with really good cardstock with this for your background first. Practice and and it will be dependent on your binder rings that you get as to where you put your measurements. And as you can see, I had it too low. It was fun, and I went, no, damn it, it doesn't fit, and it's too tight, and I couldn't get, these didn't go round, and I was like, no, they're not going round. By this time I'd given up the will to live, and it was about 11:30 at night. So do take that into consideration. Make sure that that is something that you are going to factor in, so don't build. My actual piece though, I really like it. It's absolutely the perfect size, and it's got room to open and close, and it will stand with no problem. This measures, my piece of cardstock to start with, 9 inches wide by 12 inches. So I'm still working with the 12 paper. I've got small children just arrived home from school, and you score it. So this actually is finishing up at 4 inches. So score it at 4 and at 8, and that will give you a little bit to fold over, and you get this nice thick piece of cardstock. And that is this year's Pootles Advent Countdown Advent Calendar, or your Christmas countdown. And the children are all yelling hello. I'll see you next week. Bye.